Sony PlayStation 2 Slim main color, black. The Sony PlayStation 2 Slim comes in a stark black. As of now, its potential library of 2,000 plus games, so it is an arsenal of fun. The Slim does the same thing the original does, but it is smaller. The console gives so many options on what to play through different genres of games, it's ridiculous. The PlayStation 2 system allows the gamer to go on this voyage with their trusty Dualshock 2 controller, which is both awesome and has pressure-sensitive buttons. No doubt. The PlayStation 2 Slim is the gateway to lots of gaming memories.